diverted off into things, but we don't screen your calls. It's open phones. And, you know, Max Kaiser does come from the controlled left. He claims that I've broken his paradigm and that he understands that Obama is a globalist stooge and a fraud, and I respect that. He's a really smart guy on the markets and has made a lot of accurate forecast trends. He's made a lot of predictions accurately. But I've gotten quite a few calls and emails, and I didn't really search it out. I happened across video this morning of him on his television program saying that basically you're a bunch of idiots if you don't believe in man-made global warming. We're having record temperatures, that industrialization's the problem, that the oil companies aren't paying any taxes for their pollution, and that carbon taxes are great. The big banks that openly are scamming everybody, and Enron, the big energy company, came up with it. This is well known. The UN has had to come out and admit, okay, we lied about the Himalayas melting. We lied about temperature increase. For 10 years, there's been a decline. Max, though, says, we've had 9 areas with record temps in the last 100 years. Depending on which map you use, there's 3,000 to more than 10,000 climate zones and microclimate zones. Every year, I can show you hundreds of places that have record cold. Does that mean we're getting colder? No. I can show you hundreds of places with record hot. Does that mean we're getting hotter? No. You've got to globally average the numbers. I mean, Al Gore literally bought, what was it, some $7 million or more mansion that's at sea level in California. But he says that it's all going to rise and we're all dead. I just happened to search engine major port records for sea levels. And we pulled up San Francisco sea levels here on air from the Coast Guard and from the port there. They've got private groups that have been measuring it. And if you go back about 150 years ago, the water was a lot higher. Then it got a lot lower about 100 years ago. Then it went back up about 50 years ago, about a few inches, and now it's gone back down again. But overall, it's lower than it was 150 years ago when they started measuring stuff in San Francisco. That's just, I randomly, remember last year on air, we Googled the numbers and we're showing them and just pulled up sea level numbers. That's what ports do. They, it's the navies and the fishermen and the sailors that first discovered that there were moons around Jupiter and discovered a sextant and learned how to navigate and took measurements and created maps of how deep channels were meticulously. We know that sea levels are not rising. The media constantly will point their news cameras at some sand shoal. There's hundreds of miles of them off the coast of Texas. And they'll intercoastal waterways, intercoastal islands, and they'll say, look, this old area here at Crystal Beach is being eroded. It's global warming. It's water level rising. They don't tell you 30 miles away there's giant islands forming and that overall the intercoastal islands are getting bigger. Remember all those Channel Islands and others out in the Pacific that they would have these stunts where they'd show people in diver outfits signing treaties with the UN underwater as stunts, saying their islands would be underwater? Well, now the major studies have come out. They admit that the islands actually have gotten bigger and that the water is dropping in those areas. I mean, these are facts. These are facts. Some islands build up because of the way channels and water movements change. Other islands get eroded. Now, if you want to worry about the Earth, genetic engineering, chimera open-air release of animals, fish, insects, plants, you name it, that's a big deal. DU being used all over the world, put uranium, things like that. Toxic waste, a big issue, getting dumped in the waterways because we end up bioaccumulating it. Animals bioaccumulate it. We eat them. Look, I'm all for not having pollution. I'm all for catalytic converters. But they take all these good ideas that have been sensible and they tack on to that. Once they get you to say, okay, you have this type of toilet, this type of washer, this type of light bulb, you can't take showers every day. Oh, there's federal zoning on your house. Oh, you've got to pay a tax to the IMF and World Bank. No. But I'm done talking. Dante, make your point. Go ahead.
Sorry, Alex. You work for an oil company, according to Max. But anyways, no.
Now, hold on just a minute. I didn't hear that because I didn't have time to watch the whole clip. He said, I work for an oil company?
he didn't specifically say that, but he touts that line every time I try to, post an email or a link on his website. Oh, you guys just work for the oil companies. But he had an article about how Lord Monckton is a clown. I mean, you could type that into the search engine on his website, and Lord Monckton, clown, it'll pull up all these articles about how he's crazy because he, said some things in the 80s about gays. But anyways, my other point, I wanted to make a request. Could you please have Webster Tarpley and Ron Paul do like a great economic debate on your show once? I would just like, because those two guys.
You know, when I get Ron Paul on, it's for 20, 30 minutes, and he's got his issues, and that would be interesting radio. But I could probably get Ron Paul to do it. It's just that I don't agree with Tarpley's economic solutions. I agree with his economic breakdown, and I do agree with Ron Paul's breakdown and his economic solutions. And so I just don't even want to muddy what Ron Paul's saying when he graciously joins us. But I appreciate your call. Let's go ahead and go to Kyle in Pennsylvania. You're on the air, Kyle.
Hey, Alex, what's going on?
Worldwide broadcast.
It's lunatic in Maryland. You watch the mainstream news. I was watching the Today Show today. The lady actually said he had the right idea but went about it in the wrong way.
Well, you notice when Joe Stack reportedly flew his plane into that building last year, you will notice that the FBI pulled his website under orders. They have not, his website crashed from traffic, but it's back up. This guy's website is back up, calling babies parasites, scum, filth, Mexican immigrants, trash, filth. And of course, here's this guy who's Asian. And for those that don't know, Hispanics are Spanish and Asian. That's what Asians came across the Bering Strait. That's their genome. And so here's an Asian calling Asians trash. Anchor babies trash. No, anchor babies are a political weapon in bankrupting our country, but I still care about them. And I want Mexico to be a free country. And so, yes, he had the right idea. Look, Margaret Sanger said, I want to kill these black parasites. They're weeds. These are quotes. We're going to pose as liberals. We're going to kill these people deader than a hammer. And they do. And the blacks love it and thank them and worship them and appreciate 51% of blacks never being born. I mean, they do. It's a sacrament. Jesse Jackson, all of them. You look, if you're against killing half the blacks, you're a racist. But if you want to, go out and beat some whiteys up, that's loving and good. So again, the real eugenicists pose as liberals. So yes, I've seen the reports of he was a heavenly man. He sees the fellow humans as parasites. He's more like it. Yeah, he's just a screwed up, homeless nutcase who saw Al Gore's movie and got scared to death and thought he was going to save us by holding people hostage, like these parents in Argentina that shot their baby in the chest and then killed themselves, and the media was like, oh, how loving. Well, good. All of you people, instead of trying to steal my property and tell me I can't produce and tell me I can't have a life, but you love the nuclear reactors and the DU and the GMO and all the real problems, hey, there's firearm shops nearby. Do not go and kill anybody. Do not kill your children. I don't want you to commit suicide. But if you're planning on killing kids or killing yourself, there's nearby cliffs everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of big mountains outside Austin. There's the scenic overlook on 360. And if you're really into this and you're thinking about killing people, please don't kill people. Please, I know you think it's loving and wonderful. And I'm not telling you to kill yourself, but before you hurt somebody else, seek medical attention. The problem is the shrinks will probably say, that's beautiful. And then if that's what you agree with, you can go to the cliff and just, I love you, Al Gore. Oh, well, he's in a big mansion, just hundreds of thousands of square feet total with his 14 homes, just swilling liquor and raping women and dancing around with a giant carbon footprint laughing at you. You can just scream going, I worship you, Al Gore, until you hit the bottom of the cliff. How's that sound? I'm sorry, caller, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and just to harken back to the Max Kaiser thing, last time you had him on, it really sounded like he had thrown his hands up and was pretty much, when he was saying, talking about people being idiots and stuff like that, and you actually stood up and defended the people. I think Kaiser's just gone off the reservation and is now just in it for himself. Make some money on the carbon taxes or whatever.
Well, let's just get him on with his monthly visit, and we'll interrogate him nicely. I appreciate your call, Kyle. Let's talk to Eric in Washington. Eric, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, I listen to your show every day. I start my morning off with Alex Jones. And, I want to do my part, and I want to put your stuff on my semi-trailers. So they go all over the country, and I'm down in Texas all the time, by the way. And put me through who I need to do it, get this done so I can, inform people as I travel all over the country. Well,
listen, you don't have to ask my permission. Don't wait for orders from headquarters. Go to the sound of the guns. Just get involved. You can put whatever you want on your truck. You don't have to ask permission to put Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com. I mean, please do it.
Oh, okay, great, because my trucks travel 48 states. And, on the back of, little signs at the rest area, I see little Infowars.com stickers and, bumper stickers. And I say, you know what? I got to put this on my trailer, man.
Well, brother, it's a free country. Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, everything we do, it's for you. My films are open source. Get them, make copies, get them to everybody. I mean, we're in this to win it. We're in this to defeat the globalists. Anything else, Eric?
No, sir. I just want to get your permission. Thank you.
Eric, nobody needs to get my permission to air my films on Access TV, to make copies of them, to give them to people for nonprofit educational purposes. I don't just ask you to do it. I beg you to do it. I'm not risking my life for half measures here. We're doing this to win it. We're coming in for the big win, and you're part of the team. We're all together. We'll be right back. Stay with us. More calls straight ahead.